Welcome to another episode of the Motor City Metrics podcast here presented by FanDuel on the Believe Network. I am Rahel Castillo. Alongside me is Ashley and Uper. Chris, I think, should be along tonight. No Mike tonight, as Mike is recuperating from a long week of stuff. Mike's a busy dude. Mike's a busy guy. He's a busy dude. But I just a lot to go into this evening, as the Tigers did snap a 10-game losing streak to the Braves, winning today 5-2. The bullpen, Kyle Finnegan doing the job. We'll get to the bullpen later. We'll talk about the month of April. The Tigers do finish 500 and are sitting in first place in the AL Central, in the division right now. That is, you say what you will about the AL Central, but look, we're not at least not the Boston Red Sox right now.
That's right.
Or the New York Mets. So it's. Yeah, the Red Sox right now, we'll get to that. That's just a whole situation where Joey Cora is just like, I can summer off, and he gets to walk away. Better mental health. The whole thing was just weird too. Jason Burtek, all those guys seem like they're very happy.
His brother should just invite him into town and hang out for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
the Tigers.
Yeah, and look, you're probably going to see him more often. His brother is at third base, so yeah, it's just a matter of time. And so brothers got Jace Young and his brother facing off against each other this weekend. So there's that, and there's, and then there's Chris Brown
and his band of renown.
Yeah,
what's happening?
Yeah. But yeah, so coming up tonight, we'll get some of the segments. We'll get into the 3 up, 3 down a little bit, and we'll get into by the numbers. There's lots of interesting stats. I like Ashley's stats in here. But let's start with the Tigers tonight. This series against the Braves. The Braves, the record was exactly what they expected it. They're a very good hitting team, very good ball team. But the one I was going to ask you guys, who was the biggest pain in the ass you watched this whole series? Because I thought it was I want to say it was
Greg Baldwin.
Yeah. He was just as bad as McGonigal, fouling off every pitch, driving counts deep. But Olsen's a close second.
Yeah, Olsen definitely. I mean, and I expected that from Matt Olsen. I guess didn't Drake Baldwin win Rookie of the Year? 2 years ago? Didn't he?
Last year.
That was last year. Yeah, it was last year.
Last year. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's a player I'm not super familiar with, but I did expect him to be good. But yeah, he was pesky.
Yeah, I was going to say Baldwin right away too. He just jumps off the page at you. He's one of those young guys you want to watch. Again, it's a terrible thing to bring up, but he's on my fantasy team, so I do pay a lot of attention to him. And he puts the bat on the ball very consistently. You can see why he's in the 2-hole. And why he DHs on his off days from behind the plate. He's an impressive kid.
Mm-hmm. My initial thought was Ozzie Albies. Just because he had 2 home runs, and then today he had that double that was like 4 feet underground. Still mentioning a couple of hits. But yeah, I mean, it's a good offense. You look at that team and you marvel at how they were so bad last year, but they were so by injuries to the offense last year. And they just couldn't come back in time, although we saw them at the end of the year, right? And they were, Nacho Alvarez was ruining Detroit's season. And the fact that they have had so many pitching injuries this year and are still playing this well is remarkable to me. Like, no Schwellenbach, no Strider. They're bringing up Didier Fuentes and J.R. Ritchie, rookies. It's not a super strong farm system, but they're using it. I don't know. It's like old Braves days when we were growing up. Not when we were growing up, but, we were in our teens and 20s when I was in my teens and 20s.
Yeah, growing up, the Braves were growing up where I lived, the Braves were a more popular team than the Tigers. And because it was one player, Steve Avery, who grew up in the Taylor area, and I knew more Braves fans than I did Tiger fans. If you were a Tigers fan in the 90s, where I lived, you didn't tell anybody about it. I was
Where did
proud
you
of it.
live?
I live in the Dearborn area.
Oh, I thought you were in a different state. Okay.
Oh yeah, I know, right? You would think that.
I thought you lived in the South.
Oh yeah, no, it made it sound like, but it was funny. It was, well, I mean, Taylor is considered the South around here, depending on, they do call it Taylor Tucky for a reason. For those people out there. Sorry for any of my downriver folks, but It was weird. No one liked the Tigers, but everyone loved the Braves. It was just like everybody grew up with TBS, and the Braves were so and that was what it was. They were that team that if you didn't like the Yankees, but you wanted to be a fan of something other than the Yankees, the Braves were your it. And there was some fun teams from McGriff. Talking about David Justice was because he needed Halle Berry, all that stuff. There's more than that to it, but of course one of the best rotations of all time. And but anyway, and then the Tigers were just that awful.
They were bad.
Yeah, I mean, the '96 Tigers had one of the worst ERA. I believe that's any starting staff in history or something like that. One of the worst staffs ever. So, but no, these Braves are a very, very tough team, and there's no holes in this lineup, but also defensively, they were covering everything. Michael Harris,
very good with fundamentals.
Yeah, very good. Yes, good fundamental baseball team, and Walt Weiss has done a really good job with those guys, and he also uses his bench very well too. And that was clearly the case. But so the Tigers did again salvage at least one with Valdez going his fifth quality start of the season, and Matt really getting off the schneid, 3 for 5 with a double and 2 RBIs, and he was able to. His bat's been heating up as of late.
It was a nice game today. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I thought getting that win and getting to 16-16 was really nice because it ends this opening 32 game stretch where they play 20 of them on the road. That ends now, and they start getting a little bit more balance and a few more home games, and I think it's going to be really good for them. And I thought that bouncing back to win this game after being kind of devastated the night before with the last second loss was really impressive for the team. And it showed that they can play with these guys. I mean, they had them beat last night with 3 outs to go. They beat them today. They lost, 5-2 in the first game? But they weren't run off the court. I mean, they got a couple runs late, and that was fine. So even though the Braves are probably the better team, the Tigers showed a lot this week. I thought that they can hang with those guys on their field.
For sure. I'm not upset with a 500 outcome after a month of baseball. Also, I think keeping in mind too that, we just had the injury to Javi, and the injury to McKinstry and the injury to Mize. I feel like at this point, you have to kind of adjust your expectations. I didn't really expect us to definitely not sweep the Braves. I didn't necessarily even expect them to win the series, to be honest with you. Obviously, going in, we had a healthy Javi and a healthy Mize. But after that, I think you need to adjust your expectations because, I mean, no offense to the guys who were brought up, but there's a reason why they're not starters in the major leagues, right? And I think they're talented. I think they're going to contribute to the team for sure. But when you don't have your best guys, you have to adjust those expectations, especially if you're going up against the best team in baseball.
Yeah, there's one thing another thing too that before we get the inside numbers that I really thought about this series, that is the fact that Kevin McGonigal in the end of the month has look, Kevin McGonigal, there's no more adjectives you can talk about Kevin McGonigal. You're running out of them. But again, 2 walks today. He didn't have a hit today, but he had a couple of walks. Just
had 3 walks today, didn't he?
3 walks, yeah.
3 walks, yeah.
I'm sorry, 3 walks. 3 walks. I'm sorry, 3 walks.
Crazy.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The Tigers finished the month with 2 hitters over 300. Now that I tweeted about that because I thought that. I remember last year, Cole Keith around this time was batting 220, and Cole Keith's part of my numbers a little later. But the fact that the Tigers had 2, I don't remember a time recently where the Tigers had at least 1, let alone 2, 300. Now, I was reading an article in Baseball Digest on how 300 is not the sexy batting average anymore, but I still think that's worth mentioning. It's still a worthy number.
Well, I think it's even rarer now. 300 now, it's not as rare, obviously, in April to be hitting 300 than it is in August or whatever. But yeah, it's tough to hit. It's very hard to hit, and that's one of the funny things about McGonigal is he has this. I think he had a 13-game hitting streak going, but no, he's too greedy and took 3 walks. Didn't want to continue the hit streak. So No, but I mean, that's a beautiful thing to have him and Glaber at the top of the order, just walking constantly. And had a couple chances today for guys who couldn't cash it in. Riley Green striking out with the bases loaded and one out was a real bummer on 3 pitches, but they kept banging away at it and eventually took the lead and added on some more runs. So get on base. It works. I don't care how.
I think something to be said too. Even though Riley did have 3 strikeouts, he had 2 walks.
Mhm.
Torque had 2 hits, so I feel like the approach, adjustments that they've made, seem to still be working, which is really good to see. I mean, and just the eyeball test numbers aside, I feel like they're both definitely more patient at the plate now.
Absolutely. And Riley Green has nothing. I mean, he's had a really good strong month, and just even again, the power. He had a home run in this series. It's gradual. It doesn't swing. The swing doesn't look as forced, but he is better. There's a better approach to the plate for sure.
Did you see that? Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson and Parker Meadows were on Austin Meadows' podcast.
No, I missed
Or
it.
his video podcast. It's them golfing. I'm like, okay, this is fun. It's 90 minutes long. They're like, instead of cutting it down, we'll just show you the entire round. It's from a week before the end of spring training. So I don't know. It was mildly interesting, but after a while, you're like, I don't want to watch these guys play a full round of golf. But it's there if you want to. If people are bored.
Yeah.
So let's face it. The series is what the series is. We watched it. It all could have been washed away in 1 second. This could have become the Tarek Skubal tragedy series in a heartbeat. When he stops that game last night,
My heart stopped.
and he's kind of grabbing at his forearm. I mean, you couldn't help but only have the worst of thoughts. I mean, there was no way to look and say, "Oh, he's fine." And the fact that he stayed in the game, I was stunned.
He came back and struck out the side.
I've rarely been that stunned.
Yeah, he came back and struck out the side like that.
Yeah,
and it's that shake it off kind of thing. I'm like, bro, I've never, he's been grabbing it all year. That's a good point. Problematic. But the fact, when you shake off like that, that is cringy. You're just like, oh man, and so.
Did we ever find out what happened? Did he ever comment on what happened?
He did. He just said it felt funny, and he hadn't felt it before, and he shook it out, and he's like, "Yeah, it's fine." It's not great, but as long as he's healthy and throwing hard, then whatever. And he's pitching really well. That's going 2-4 on this road trip is a bummer, but it's tough because you feel like that they were a couple outs away, right, from going 4-2 on a road trip, and you always take that. I feel like they have more talent than the Reds, probably about the same amount of talent, maybe less talent than the Braves, right? But overall, so at this point now it's about execution, and they just need to clean that aspect up of their game. That they're just, and I feel like that's their whole bullpen issues are we feel like we got the right guys in there. They're just not executing their pitches, and it's well, start doing that. But yeah, I mean, there are worse things than going 16-16 over your first 32 games.
Yeah, it could be a lot. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. It could be, it could be the Boston, like I said, mentioned earlier, the Boston Red Sox, or for that matter, the New York Mets. Look, I mean, did anybody predict the New York Mets at 10-21 would have a worse record than the Rockies at 14-18?
No. I mean, there's some really bad records right now for some teams that I don't know if you heard Dave Dombrowski's comment about that there are teams are already calling around looking at trades. Wow. I mean, that does seem a little bit early, but teams like the Phillies and the Mets and the Astros are all off to really bad starts.
The Astros too are so injured.
Yeah, and everybody on that team is hurt, and it's
yeah.
What do you want for Jordan Alvarez?
The team.
What's that?
Their team ERA is like almost 6, isn't it?
I think they're the bottom. Yeah. They're the very, very bottom. I think they're the bottom in bullpen ERA as well.
Yeah.
That was Dana Brown calling you up to see if he wanted to pitch.
Yeah. No, it's desperate times call for desperate measures. I get it.
That's right.
But yeah, so it's rough out there. But
point being, I think we could be in a lot worse position. I think we just have to stay healthy. We have to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the one thing. The Tigers have had some injuries, right? But none to I guess Mize is the closest to like the core. Like when I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, if you can keep Scooble and Valdez and Green and Torque and Dingler and Carpenter and Keith and McGonigal, like there's enough players now that if you can keep those guys mostly healthy, you're fine. But if you lose some of that core, you start to have some trouble. And so far, it's mostly been, Javi is an important player, Meadows is an important player, but they're not the guys that you can't afford to lose yet.
See, my thought on Javi, I was really, really sad what happened to Javi, and I hope it's not like a terrible sprain. Because my thought was, oh my God, who's going to play shortstop? Which obviously Kevin can play shortstop, right? However, I don't think that's the most ideal situation, especially with like a ground ball guy like Framber. So that's what I was worried about. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have very limited shortstops. But true, like I think Javi, like, that's not a good thing. I mean, obviously nobody being injured is good, but I mean, he can play up the middle. He's been getting on base this year. I feel like he's a really important piece, and I feel like we're really good. We're going to miss him just like we miss McKinstry.
Yeah, McKinstry, by the way, is down in Lakeland, Michael, and he should be back probably the next week or so.
Yeah, I imagine he'll play 3 of these 4 games. He'll play tonight. He played tonight. Maybe they'll give him tomorrow off because it's Seth Hernandez, and then he'll play maybe a game as a DH, and then maybe a game at shortstop, and then he'll probably be back. Yeah, I mean that was kind of telling to me on multiple fronts, right? What they did, they called up Jace Young when Javi got hurt, and I was like, okay, so you really just have one person on the roster who can play shortstop, and I was like, well, I guess that means you really don't think Gage Workman is a big leaguer, or you don't want to do whatever, put Jake Miller on the 60-day IL or whatever to start his service time. And then you come into today and you're facing a righty, and Jace Young is not in the starting lineup, and he never comes off the bench to pinch hit. And it's like, so you don't really think Jace Young is much of a player either. So like they're just filling out with bodies now until McKinstry can come back.
I thought it was anybody. I thought it's gonna I thought Workman would get a chance, an opportunity. He's been hitting over 400 in the last week or so in Toledo. But
even if you bring him up, like you don't even bat him, right?
Yeah.
He can play shortstop. They were saying the backup is How You Lee. How You Lee played shortstop, I think, in a little bit in high A and in low A, but I don't think he's played since then. So
no, Alan, that's a good theory. We even somebody, was it you that said no? I think it was John Verberg that said Peck too. That would be a bad idea. Who's been hitting bat? He had a grand slam tonight, and that was a thing of beauty. That was a good long at bat too. By the way, it was like an 8-pitch at bat in Erie, and he was able to just absolutely destroy it. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
So, well, the thing, Sweeney is on the 60-day IL. For whatever reason, it's not labeled as such on the Tigers website. Mm-hmm. But he was put on the 60-day IL when they claimed Holman, I think. So yeah, it's just one of those weird MLB.com issues where it hasn't been updated. So yeah, I mean, if they could have done that, they would have. And they just kind of ran out of guys to put on the 60-day. I think it was Horn for the last person they called up. So yeah, or maybe it was Lee. In any event, Sweeney's on the 60-day IL already, so they couldn't do it.
All right, let's go into Inside the Numbers. All right, I'm going to kick things off for the Inside the Numbers because I have one number that is tied to a piece of pop culture.
Nice.
Give it a second.
Oh.
It's music. You got if you hear that or not.
I can't hear anything.
Up your butt, Joe Boo.
What?
Hold on, wait for it.
Go, bartender! Joe Boo needs refill. And no!
All right. So the reason why I bring that up is we've talked about this in their Discord. Chris and I have talked about this numerous times. My inside number is -3 and -8. So that combines to a -11. The -8 comes from the Cleveland Guardians, who are tied for first place with the Tigers. And the -3 comes from the Cincinnati Reds, who are 2011 in first place. I don't know what voodoo, this is for run differential, by the way. I don't know what voodoo there is in Ohio that causes this to happen. But good God, man. Like, is Terry Francona, like, it's just like this thing with Ohio or whatever is going on. The Reds are a game up on the Cubs right now for 19-12. The Cubs, I think, are a far superior team. And they have run differential of +35. +35. And you're asking yourself, like, after the expected win-loss record for what should be for Cincinnati, 15-16. That's voodoo. That's why I played that clip from Major League. That voodoo. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I was going to go with the inside number. My other number was going to be 53.4, which is a hard hit rate of Cole Keith. But I saw that. I was like, I can't ignore this. I cannot ignore this voodoo anymore. I mean, we have a Joe Boo in our garage. Chris has seen it before because it's a. Actually, I know you're familiar with Santeria, but my dad.
Yeah.
My dad had a. You believe in Cuban Santeria? He has a Joe Boo looking thing. It's the actual name of it. I cannot pronounce. It's in a garage. When he passed away, I inherited a bunch of his stuff. I never touched that thing because I was like, I'm not screwing with that.
Right.
No, I'm like, you don't screw around with Santeria. You don't do it. Like, you don't like it's legitimately no.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife put $1 in there, and she just got a job today. Thanks to Chris, by the way. But she got a job today. But she did a whole thing. We put $1 in there, and we wish you luck. Don't mess with voodoo. We did talk.
Can I put $100 in there?
Yeah. Because one time, but here's the thing. One time, there was like a pot thing that my dad had in there. My dumbass at 15 years old took $5 out of it, and I got hit in the nuts playing catcher that same day. I don't mess with. I'm dead serious. I do not mess with that stuff, and that's what's going on in Ohio. End of rant. End of story. But anyway,
Right.
I just wanted. Yeah, that is my insider number. Ashley, what is yours?
So mine is a little bit more basic than yours. But mine is 10%, which is the league average walk rate for pitchers. And I was looking up what the walk rates are for everybody in the bullpen. Well, it ranges from like 9 to 10, but regardless, I was looking up walk rates for everybody in the bullpen. So we have our best is Brant Herter at 5.8%. Brant Herter's having a great year so far. The next lowest is Will Vest at 11.5%. The highest right now is Kyle Finnegan at 17.2%. So I know this is something that has been talked about on the last couple of episodes. And I think I liked how Bobby Scales put it today on the broadcast. He said, when your bullpen is a pitch to contact pen, you can't walk guys. And our bullpen is walking a lot of guys. Although the bullpen ERA is 4.56, which is 20th in all of baseball right now, everybody's walking people, and I feel like if they continue at this rate, it's only going to get worse. So, I don't like to doom. I don't like to be negative. I think there's plenty of time to fix it, and I think that we are going to win the division. I'm pretty confident about that, unless Voodoo gets a hold of the Guardians again this year. However, I think once it comes playoff time, and once you're facing teams like in the playoffs, that is not going to play.
Let me ask you all this question too. I'm gonna start with you, Ashley. Do you think it has anything to do with the new challenge system at all? Why walk rates are up? In your opinion? In your opinion? Okay. No, just think it's just everybody's. So. Oh, just think it's everybody's off to kind of a slow start.
I mean, I don't think that like the challenge system is the reason why Kyle Finnegan has a 17.2% walk rate.
Well, I mean, like smaller strike zone, because of like the smaller strike zone kind of thing. Yeah, sorry.
No, because I just don't think that it has that much of an impact. Gotcha, if I'm wrong, I might be wrong. Somebody correct me if you want to come in.
No, I was just kind of curious.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying like people in the comments or whatever. Like if you have supporting data, I would actually love to know. But no, I think I mean, this is like extreme.
Gotcha.
I feel like, right? This is not just like, oh, this guy, we had 3 walks today and we had 2 walks. This is a more amplified version. And I don't want to sit here and say ABS is the reason for that, but
Right.
I think a lot of people are coming to the idea that the strike zone has gotten smaller, though, and that's going to lead to more walks. And umpires, they know what the drill is. I think they know they can't wander as far with their own personal strike zone as they may have used to. They've got to be somewhere around that ABS box. I think we're starting to see that. I also think the games are getting slightly longer, which I do not like.
Yeah. So league wide, right now, the walk rate has risen from 8.4% last year to 9.6% this year. So it is up. 1% is fairly significant, but it is early enough that I'm not sure. We'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, but I don't think that's. I'm with Ashley. I don't think it's the strike zone or the ABS that's making Kyle Finnegan miss the zone by a foot and a half with his misses for some reason. Like it is a bummer because when he's throwing strikes, he's been pretty good. So, but strikes help.
And I'm not dissing him by any means. I think
Right.
Kyle Finnegan is a very, very good piece in the bullpen, very valuable. We can't be walking people like that.
Yeah, good point. Because I mean, as you mentioned, actually, it is a pitch to, and Bobby Scales this too, but it's just this bullpen last 2 years has not been a strikeout based bullpen, and they try to even the guys they got with Jansen's not a big K guy anymore like he used to be. So they haven't really, and as far as like relievers go, the Tigers for some strange reason are immune to growing 95 to 90 or 97 plus guys anymore for whatever reason. I've never. Tigers used to be good for like 2 or 3 guys like that in the system. Maybe Zach or Jimenez is out, right? Chris Marco Jimenez is out.
Yeah.
Then Zach Lee might be like 97, 98, but there's nobody in the system right now. It's like throwing 100. Like Sanchez. Wait, no, is he still there? I can't remember even where Yosber Sanchez is.
How hard does that Rodriguez kid throw? Moises or whatever.
Moises Rodriguez around 97, 99, but it's straight as an arrow.
No. Rodriguez is he throws nothing but sinkers. It's not.
But it doesn't do anything though. It's like,
well, he doesn't really have secondary stuff.
Yeah.
And it's more of a soft contact pitch than. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of flamethrowers throughout the system. You got Malachi Witherspoon who's throwing 95, 97. Salcedo can get up there. He isn't right. He didn't in this first outing back, but there's nothing there.
As far as
somebody in the comments, sorry.
No, go ahead, Ashley.
Somebody in the comments asked, is the strikeout rate up or down from last year? I don't know if they were referring to like league wide. I don't know if they're referring to like the team. We were talking about Finnegan at the time, and I had his Fangraphs page up, and his strikeout rate is actually down a little bit from last year. His K per 9 last year was 8.68. This year it's 6.75, which, again, we just talked about they're a pitch to contact bullpen. They're not necessarily a swing and miss bullpen. So I don't necessarily have an issue with that. It's more the walks I have an issue with, which, listen, the guy's got a 0.61 ERA. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and complain. I'm just gonna say, if you continue at that pace with the control issues, it is eventually going to bite you, and I don't want to see that happen. So,
yeah, absolutely fair. Chris, what is your inside number?
The league-wide strikeout rate, is 22.2%, and last year it was 22.2%. Dead nuts. But I mean, I've kind of tweeted about this or talked about it before, and I don't know if it's kind of an awkward stat, but I guess I've got my inside the number is 10. So we talked about Kevin McGonigal walking 3 times earlier today. That is now 22 games out of his 31 and 30 starts where he's reached base at least twice to start his career. He is the 10th player ever in Major League history to do that, ever. And when you look at the other names, now this is why when I do it, people are like, who cares? Those names suck. There are only 3 guys who have done it since 1947. Like the first 6 all did it in like 1904. It's So yeah, you got Billy Hamilton, the original, in 1898. Roy Thomas, 1899. Art Devlin, 1904. Jesse Burkett, 1898. Ed Delahanty, famously
Who
fell off
off
Niagara
a
Falls,
train?
right?
Yeah, off a train. Yeah,
Yeah. 1898. Huey Jennings, 1898.
former
1898 was
Tiger
a bigger-
manager Huey Jennings. Okay.
And then you got the most recent ones. Ferris Fain in 1947.
Good name.
Alvin Davis in 1984. Alvin Davis had a spectacular rookie year, and that was the highlight of his career.
He played for the Giants, right?
Mariners.
The Mariners.
Sorry. Mariners.
And then you've got Kevin Stocker in 1993.
Wow.
And that's it. So 22 times. 21 times, you got Albert Pujols, Austin Jackson, Carlos Santana. But there's only been 15 players to do it 21 times. So it's like really rare territory to get on base this much this early in a career. So just something I think, again, there are a billion different ways to talk about how good Kevin McGonigal is, but this is really kind of generational stuff right now.
Yeah. Every night is just beyond, like, I'm running out of words. You literally run out of words to say after a while.
Raj, we both speak 2 languages, and I don't think there's adjectives in either language.
Like I would say, I would say a lot of going, geez, like, yeah, like that's. I mean, a lot of times just like, like I can say. I mean, I can play this all day.
Good.
Mm-hmm. But I got to come up with. I got to. You know what, Chris? We need for the board guys, the McGonigal. You know what? No, hold on. Let me find it real quick. Uper, while you do that, go ahead and with your number.
Oh, sure. Mine are 0.71, 1.15, and then 3.72. The thing with pitching, I used to 10, 15 years ago or more, I got eyes deep into all the statistics. I don't do that nearly as much anymore. I really just look at strikeouts, walks, and home runs. And that's how I kind of judge a lot of pitching stats. And the 0.71 is a number that probably went down today because these stats are from after last night. The Tigers are only 12th in walk rate and 15th in K rate amongst their starting pitching, okay? Which is fine, but it's middle of the pack. But what's really keeping them in a lot of games is they are keeping the ball in the park. Their starting pitching has the home run per 9 innings of 0.71. Went down today with that start by Framber Valdez, and Pittsburgh was number 1. Theirs went up because Skeens allowed 2 home runs. So the Tigers are first among starting pitching, most likely right now, in home runs per 9 innings. And, if they can continue to keep the ball in the park, I think that's going to be what's going to keep them above water all year, even if they have to replace Mize and do a few things like that. The difference, though, is the 1.15 is the bullpen home run per 9 innings. They are 19th in baseball there. And, a lot of that is Kenley Jansen, which I'm sure we'll talk more about in a little bit. But there's a stark difference from first among starters to barely in the top 20 among bullpen. So when people grouse about the bullpen a lot, it makes sense. Their ERA as the starters are 3.72. And again, the bullpen is about 4.5. So, if Scott Harris is one of those GMs who's making the calls that Dombrowski was mentioning, he should be looking for a bullpen, I'm sure, as we all know.
Nickel. Billy is dead. They slit his throat from ear to ear.
We both know these children have no future. Prove me wrong, kids. Prove me wrong.
McGarnacle. Okay.
Yeah, so sorry. I was trying to find that. That was the best McGonigal I was trying to find, but anyway. That's what happens when you don't cue up your audio, folks. But yeah, no, here's the other thing too about the bullpen that I want to mention before we move on. At least you have Vest also back there too. Vest's velocity has crept up. He was like 92, 93 to start the month. Now he's back up to 97, 90, 98 where he should be. So that is something to also highlight as well, because they have options. And if there is going to be a fire sale in Philly, I mean, by the way, I love the way, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. but there's one. I don't know if you guys saw the Phillies manager spoke to the press after he got fired, which is a rare thing that you don't see happen very often. He faced the music, and I was trying to say where he got. This is where I wanted to mention this. Rob Thompson, who's a manager, and now Don Manley's his son is the GM. So, he took the fall, and a lot of his players feel bad for him. But he really was talking about how he just hopes that he handled everything with class. And I wanted to, I have this, I have the clip right here. I just wanted to play this because let me play this because I thought it was really, really cool. You don't see this very often from people. Usually guys just don't want to talk to the media, but he faced the music.
Before I bounced out of town, and I wanted to get my face in front of everybody and answer the questions. Also, I wanted to clear a couple of things up. One, my relationship with Dave Dombrowski is rock solid. I respect the man. I think he's one of the best baseball people I've ever been around. My relationship with John Middleton is rock solid. We all spoke this morning when they notified me of my firing, and it was a great conversation. Having said that, we haven't played well, and for whatever reason. And when you're not playing well and you're the manager of a ball club, you're held accountable, and rightly so. So my message to the fans is this, and now I can say a few things. It's early. We went through a very difficult stretch, playing two of the best teams in baseball that were really hot, and we weren't playing well. And that's my responsibility when we're not playing well. So my message to the fans is this. I still think, and I hope, because I love these guys, that this team's going to turn this thing around. And they're going to get hot. I have a bunch of different reasons why, but one is the fact that there's a lot of talent in there. And if you look at the back of the baseball cards with these guys, usually they reach those numbers by the end of the year. So I think that they are going to turn around.
I just like the way he approached that. Like he didn't have to say anything, and he did. So, it feels like a hostage video. He stepped at your bees. Come on, man.
And then the Phillies went out and won both ends of a doubleheader today on walk-offs, both times. I mean, as a stand-up dude, I think they said he's got the highest winning percentage in Phillies history, or not, among them, because, sometimes when the Wolves are circling, you got to do something. I don't know, like, I can't imagine Dombrowski sticks there much longer, right? Like we've seen this before in the way that he kind of builds these rosters. And once these super expensive contracts, when the guys get older and stop performing, it kind of crashes and burns. And he's already had to, they had to cut Castellanos. They cut Taijuan Walker. Like they've had to eat a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like this is Dombrowski kind of trying to save his own job. I don't know, but we'll see what happens with the Phillies down the stretch. The Phillies and the Mets are kind of competing to be the most disappointing team, so we'll see who wins that one. Yeah,
I think the Mets are going to get there. So let's start with the Tiger of the Week here. And so, Ashley, I'll let you kick that off. I liked your thoughts on some of I saw, especially, there's one part of it that makes a lot of sense with the second part of that Tiger thoughts. So go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so mine, I know we speak primarily about the major leagues. However, two players that there's obviously a lot of discourse about online, Bryce Rayner and Max Clark. I feel like every single day people have a new problem with what one of them are doing. People are talking about Max Clark's chains. People are talking about him dropping a ball. People are talking about Rayner and the barrel dump and the swing and this changed and that changed and he's not doing this and he's not doing that. First of all, I just feel like you're not even watching them perform, it seems, right? Because they're both performing. Rayner had an injury to his throwing arm. On a left-handed hitter, that's going to take time to get his swing back. If he was overcompensating for anything in that swing at any point, and I'm not saying this is like a positive, this is exactly what's happening. I'm just saying, in general, you have an injury, you're favoring something that can become a habit, and that can become a problem, and it needs to be worked out. He just came back from an injury. It's possible that it's messed with his overall swing. It's messed with him getting to velocity. I also know that just by talking to scouts, he was considered to be a very passive hitter coming out of high school, which is something that I've seen people complaining about. And he might end up being a player like, you know, I was talking about Murakami. Actually, I think this was on a different podcast, but I was talking about Murakami and how he's kind of like a 3 outcome player, right? He's going to hit a home run, he's going to walk, or he's going to strike out. I feel like that might be what Bryce Rayner ends up being, which he's a freak athlete. He's a great athlete, right? But he's never been a hit over power. He's always been a power over hit guy. And he's 20 years old. He's 20 years old. Like, he's 20 years old. He's coming off an injury. Give him some time. Stop being so hard on these guys. I mean, I don't know if they're online and they're looking at what people say, but it's like, for God's sake, give him time, right? I mean, he went 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts tonight, but I believe he's hitting like 276 or something right now with a 743 OPS. So it's like, just chill out on Bryce Rayner. Another one was Max Clark. I think Dan Clark is like the king of the discourse about him, right? And has now gone back to that. But I feel like I've seen people from every fan base, including the Tigers fan base, talking about Max Clark. First of all, he's an elite athlete. Elite athletes drop balls too. They drop balls in center field every now and then. It's going to happen. They're going to make mistakes. They are not perfect. They are not machines. They are people. I feel like any scout you talk to about Max Clark is going to talk about his effort level and how much he loves baseball and what kind of athlete he is. He's a baseball rat. You talk to any scout, they're going to tell you that. I don't know Max Clark personally, but again, talking to people who have talked to him, that is what I've heard from every scout. He's got great makeup. We all know he's tooled up, right? We all know Max Clark has possibility of being a 5-tool player. And he's still turning his tools into skills. He's still young too. I just feel like people need to give them a break because I see so much discourse about these guys, and especially Max Clark. Yeah, that's a good point, Nick. But especially Max Clark, everybody's broadcasting one little mistake all over Twitter, and it starts this absolute ridiculous discourse. And it's like, just for God's sake, George Springer was a very highly criticized center fielder in the major leagues, and he turned himself into a Gold Glove finalist. So it's like, just
Ashley, I mean,
anyway, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I was just gonna say no. I'm glad you said that because we were the ones that. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. I mean, I put the Max Clark. The Clippers put it up too, but I think it kind of blew up when we put it up. And normally we don't I don't put up players making mistakes, right?
I'm not saying I didn't mean.
Oh, no.
But like I want to explain it a little bit because the only time I would do that is in a situation where, I mean, the bases were loaded, there was 1 out. If he makes that catch, they might win the game, and instead he drops it. It just ended up being the critical play of the game, and I was like, oh, I gotta post that, or else I don't feel true to like what we do, which is we try to highlight the big plays in games and when players do things, but the problem is that like people take it and run with it, and people who just can't wait. They're just sitting on the sideline waiting for something to yell about. And it makes me gun shy, and I don't want to do that because we've talked to Max a couple times. We really like him. He's like you said, Ashley. He's a really awesome kid. Loves baseball. Sometimes players make mistakes. It happens to every single player ever. You can bring up Aaron Judge dropping a ball in center field in the World Series, right? Like it happens.
Right.
But yeah, people take it and run with it, and I like it. It makes me feel bad because I feel like I'm contributing. Hopefully not contributing to like his sadness. Yeah. But
Also, what I meant was what you just mentioned, how one thing happens and people take it and run with it.
Yeah.
And I don't usually always like to talk about fan discourse. Something that comes to mind for me is I don't know if any of these guys are looking on. I don't even know if it matters to them what fans say. I just think twice, right? Like these guys are still developing. They are still young. They are still turning their tools into skills. Give them a break. They are human.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And the thing that really drove me nuts about Max Clark, some of these weird fanboys that kind of like, delete this. This is AI. Like, what?
Well,
Look, he does make mistakes, but like, good Lord, like
that is the unique thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is the one thing. That's the only thing. That's what you said was spot on. What Chris said is spot on. Just the behavior of these guys, like, what, you think Max Clark's going to reward you with, points or something? Like, like Clark's my king and you stick up, like, it's so weird. And it's like, it's a lot of doomful things and you can just, like, it's hard sometimes to ignore it. Sometimes actually I have to sign off because I can't do it. I can't, because if I feed the troll, then it's just, but it was just sitting there like going, delete this. This is AI slop.
Well,
but like, okay, so you want us just to post the clips and be happy and going, this is all hunky dory and Tiger, like once Kevin McGonigal graduates, which he is graduating, the system's going to have a bit of a drop off. And Max Clark is Max Clark is the number one prospect in the system, no matter what. He's a very good player, but he makes mistakes. We're all human. And that's the part that fans are trying to think we're picking on him or something like that because we posted like, no, you're an idiot. Go ahead. Sorry.
And so and I had written something about Rayner as well, and it's a weird situation for us because it's like part of it is we're watching these games every single night, and so things are gonna feel bigger to us just because it's more immediate, and at the same time, we want to acknowledge that we see it too. Like we see that this is going on. We see that Bryce Rayner is swinging at under 30% of the pitches he sees. Like something strange is going on, but I'm not worried about him in that sense. But it feels you've got to talk about it when he's got like a 45% strikeout rate because he's not swinging.
I think if we get to midsummer and he's still striking out the way he is now, then it's time to start worrying. He just got back.
Yeah, well, and you can already, like, honestly, it's only been 2 weeks in West Michigan, and he's already looks a little bit better. He's
he's 7 for his last 17.
He's not crushing the ball yet, but like baby steps, right? He's getting back closer to the player he was, and I think you nailed it earlier too. Like this is never a guy who's going to be like a 290 hitter, right? This is going to be a guy who's he's going to give you value with defense, power, and patience. And some speed
a 290 hitter is like between like a 70 and like on the scouting scale, that's between like a 70 and a 75 bat. That's not him. He's probably going to be a 230 hitter.
Yeah, well, that's
but he can hit for power. That's kind of player he is. That's his profile.
People love to make the Corey Seager comps, and it's like Corey Seager is like a 295 career hitter with power. And like shortstop, like don't do it. Stop making those comps. But you can't. They can't but help but do it. So anyway.
Yeah. All right. Uper, you have a Tiger of the Week?
There's a lot of ways you could go with it. I have one Tiger of the Week and then one guy I just want to mention because I'm reasonably happy so far. Then I was told to expect very little from some people. Torkelson just doing a lot better. The quality of his at-bats has continued to get better. He's found his timing now. He's making solid contact on a fairly regular basis, more than just maybe once a game like he might have been early on when he wasn't producing a whole lot other than his walks. It's pretty impressive. I would love to see him poke one out to the opposite field and start using the entire field a little bit more. I think everything really will go crazy if he starts going to that. He's a pull hitter, but he still needs to go with some pitches. But it was a great week for him. 2 hits today. Hit a ball 100 miles an hour with the bases loaded. It was a shame if he would have hit it 4 more feet to the left. He has a bases clearing double, but that's all right. He got good wood on the ball. So I'm really pretty pleased with him for this week. But the guy I want to mention, he only hit the 1 home run. He hasn't been uber productive, but he is contributing and he looks like he belongs. And that's Howie Lee. He has not been overmatched in this week with the big league club. He struck out a couple times early. I think his at-bats are fairly quality at-bats. He's made some good contact here and there, and defensively, he's hung in there. So, I'm not saying he's going to be a long-term starter. He might end up being Barbaro Garbe or something. I mean, at that level. But, I was told to expect very little in the initial phases here, and I think he's exceeded that for me a little bit. He looks like a ball player.
Yeah, that home run trot was one of my favorite things I've seen in a while.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
That's a good call. I think he is a guy who can play multiple positions when need to. I mean, he's more suited for second base, obviously, but third base he's gotten a little better. He's not the greatest, but there was a play in Boston last week in the rain that he made a deep throw on and thought he did a good job. So is he a guy you can put over there on a regular basis? No, but still.
They've been working with him on his defense at third for, a lot the last couple of years. And guys can get better on defense. They're limited physically at times what they can do, but he's a pretty good athlete. I think he could end up being at least a solid defender. I like him at second base. They don't seem to play him there, so I don't know. Maybe they don't like him that much. I've always thought, go out and take some fly balls in the corner outfield, right? Like he's athletic enough to maybe do that. Obviously, it's a completely different position, but make yourself more versatile because, he's got some pop, he's got some patience, and a little bit of hitting ability. So, he could be a quality bench bat at least, and he certainly has helped the team, like you said, since he came up. Already has more home runs than Jace Young.
I was waiting for it. I'm like, where is it? Where is it? Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So I mean, if I just pop in here and
absolutely.
So I was going to pick Torque as well, just based on the numbers, but I want to give a little bit of credit to Winslow Perez, who was off to such a terrible start numbers wise, but had that absurd like 0.29 BABIP. Like he put 50 balls in play and they had all been outs. And then he finally started to swing it a little bit. He had a home run the other day. And then today he started that rally to get the insurance runs with a pinch hit walk, which to me is one of the harder things to do, I think, right? Is like you come in and you're ready to swing and he works a 9 pitch at bat and takes a walk and ends up scoring. And I just think, and with Javi out, it's likely that Perez is going to be the beneficiary of more playing time, I would think. He's probably most likely to get more action, and we've seen at times where he could be a really quality player. So I give him credit for what did he do this week? 5 games, 4 for 11, a double, a homer, 2 walks, and a strikeout. That works.
Yeah,
I just want to say, I just have a comment to make real quick. I feel like just reading the comments right now, we as fans cannot expect perfection from everybody. Not everybody is the perfect player. And again, what I said earlier about adjusting our expectations when we have guys who are hurt. That's all I want to say. The guys that we have are functional. And Wenzel had a rough start to the year, but he's starting to look a little bit better.
Wenzel Perez is in that tier of players where I think people who are, especially people who only watch periodically, they expect players to be consistently the same guy from April to October, right? I think he's in that tier of ball players where he's good enough to have a hot 2 or 3 weeks and really help the team. And then maybe he disappears for a couple of weeks and he's kind of in and out throughout the season. I think we've seen that in the past, and we've certainly seen it this year so far. And that's okay. As you were saying, they're not perfect. And when your bench guys can come in and win a game for you and hit a home run or make a play and play a couple different positions, that's a good bench player. But they aren't 6 months of steadiness. They tend to be in and out, and that's kind of what I see as from him.
It's just funny. You look at his stats and say, like, everything that I've learned over the last 25 years about stats says, well, this is not sustainable. Like, he's got 50 plate appearances. He's got 5 strikeouts. So just a 10% strikeout rate. That's great. Four walks, 8% walk rate. That's fine. 2 homers and a double. He's got a 103 batting average on balls in play. That doesn't last. His expected batting average is 223. That's not great, but that's 130 points higher than what he's hitting. Like, if he had done that, he would be a positive player. It's just you run into some bad luck, and he had a good week. So I want to give him credit for that because he helped them win today.
Yeah, it's a week of work. I mean, we're not, it's like his favorite thing doesn't win games. Well, no shit, it doesn't. But I mean, at the same time, we can also highlight a player when they have a good week. I mean, it's not we're supposed to ignore that.
As we should, right? We should highlight the good.
Yeah, and that's where, like, again, I can also easily go and do the negative thing. And yeah, look, I mean, the expectations of Detroit are too low. No, I mean, should Detroit be doing better? Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, I mean, I look, it's just so easy to shit on the team all the time and just be that way. And so there's so many other things that we've pointed out throughout the last month or so. But it is what it is. I mean, look, we can't make everybody happy, and that's fine.
I mean, and I think it's important to point out as well. I mean, based on what I've seen in the scouting world, right? For anybody who doesn't know, I did go to Major League Scout School this last October, got to watch the Fall League. When you're scouting guys, when professional scouts are scouting guys, part of it is writing the role, right? And different teams use different systems. So like if we're talking the 20 to 80 scale, a 50 is going to be like your everyday player, you're just like your everyday guy who's contributing every single day. And then you can go up or down from there. Guys who are like fourth outfielder and utility guys, they're important too. And just because they're not just because Winsell doesn't have a 3, expecting Winsell to be even a 1-WAR player at this point in time is a little bit ridiculous. Like, that's just not going to happen. That's not every guy on the team is going to do that. But he's there defensively. He's contributing in a platoon role, and that's his role. Like, he's not going to be a superstar. He's not going to be an all-star. And I think the fact that we expect, or not we, because I certainly don't expect that from him, but the fact that fans expect that from every single player is an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah. And the point was that look at the Braves. Expectations of Detroit are too low. The Braves started multiple players with 0 or negative WAR today. Austin Riley has 0 WAR. Eli White was their starting center fielder. He's at negative 2 WAR. Like, not every player on your team is going to be plus WAR 1 month into the season. Yeah. Winsell Perez has a plus career WAR. He's a plus player in his career, 2.3. In 200 games, right? It's like Ashley said, he's like a contributing player. And he contributed this week with a home run and a double and some walks, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, he's not saying he's the star, but it helps.
Yeah, he's like a C1. He's a role player or a starter he's a starter on a non-contending club or a role player for a contending club, that's exactly what he is. That's a C1. Like, yeah, that's he's a 4. Not every single player is going to be a 50, a 55, a 60. Like, it's just not, especially your fourth outfielder. Like, that's just not realistic. Baseball's hard.
Baseball's hard. I mean, you went 4 for 11 this week. And Jacob, I'm with you on that. And I'm finishing up an article. I'm done here shortly on Roundtable about Kenley Jansen, because the numbers from last year are the same in some ways, but there is some cause for concern. My Tiger of the Week, real quick, is Drew Anderson, who's bounced back really well. 5 innings, 5 2/3 innings, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, and he's throwing his fastball 97-98, which sets up his changeup really well, and has looked well. He did pitch some key innings today in the win today, and quite frankly, everybody last week was ready to get this guy, fire him in the sun. Again, it's a week, could change. It could be crappy again. I don't know, but either way, I want to highlight Drew Anderson because the bullpen has been destroyed. He might be in the rotation for all we know soon with the Mize injury. Who knows how they're gonna his outing today.
He looked great today.
Yeah, he did look good. Nick says that McKinstry might be back this weekend, which is why they used. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the ultimate reason why it happened. Why they just took the guy that was on the 40-man instead of making any crazy moves. But it did feel a little bit risky when you don't have another shortstop on the roster.
What do you guys think of Bert Smith?
Oh, I
Oh,
did
Bert.
say that, didn't I?
Smith was fine. I mean, he could use a little. Some of his stuff was like he did. We allowed 3 hits or something like that, but no, he wasn't bad. Yeah, he's serviceable. I want to say
Serviceable.
serviceable. Yeah, that is a good word for it. Then.
I think with the going back to Drew Anderson real quick, I feel like the stuff has always looked good, like the eye test, right? Like it's moving well. I think when he did struggle, like every pitcher is going to struggle. But based on the eye test, I think I said last week that I felt like he would start doing better. And everybody's going to have bad outings, but I feel like he looked really good today. And I'm hoping for the future that he continues because he looked great. And I think he could play a very important role in the bullpen.
Yeah.
He did what's always important, right? He avoided middle.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Avoided middle, and some good things happened.
Yeah,
Speaking of that real quick, so I was just going to say with Kenley Jansen, sorry, I feel like I keep interrupting. With Kenley Jansen, he's only sitting at an 11.8% walk rate. I feel like with him, like it's not control that's the issue, it's command. Like he threw how many cutters middle yesterday? It's like, it's frustrating.
Yeah, and that's where like my article focuses on that right there is the cutter is anyway, I'm going to be posting here in a second, but go ahead, Chris. What are you going to say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, with Drew Anderson, I think it actually makes a big difference when he's 95 to 97 rather than 93 to 95. I don't know why, all pitchers, right? It makes a difference if you're throwing harder. But he certainly looked better when he was pumping in 97 today. And with Kenley Jansen, like it's a cutter, right? The whole point is to throw it kind of inside, let it cut it in the hands, and then so they can't get the barrel on it. But when you throw it, it cuts right to the heart of the plate. It's a batting practice fastball, and that's the guy's been pitching for damn near 20 years. Like I would hope that he can figure it out, but the one thing you can't do as a reliever is give up home runs, and he's given up 3 in like 7 innings, and that's going to get you. So we got to figure out a way to avoid those.
By the way, I want to plug. One of the things I want to plug in there is that Joe Nathan, who signed with the Tigers, converted 35 of 42 saves opportunities. So he blew 7 saves. I remember Tony Paul put out a tweet about him and Francisco Rodriguez. He blew a couple multiples. He wasn't the same guy, but they all had a rough start and ended up shaping up somewhat. But I thought it was just interesting to mention that because,
it does feel a little bit like the Tigers have a knack for getting closers like the year after they stop being good.
Yeah,
I go, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
but
they have a knack for going for the older.
Yeah,
going for the older guys, which sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't.
And I don't know how many times we have to say this, but relievers are just the most volatile creatures on earth, right? Like. Except for Mason Miller, who throws 104 and strikes everyone out. Like we talked about this before, the Dodgers has spent like $150 million on relievers over the last couple of years, and they all broke and sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not where I want the team spending their money. It's on the bullpen.
It's hard. Some teams have really good bullpens. They just have a knack for bringing. Like the Padres have a really good bullpen usually, and they get these guys who are throwing 100 all over the place and throwing strikes.
It's a weird. It's a weird stat rate about him about Kelly Jansen though is I was looking this up earlier. His hard hit rate on his cutter is lower at 33% than it was last year, at 46.8. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's your small sample size at this point, right? So he's like, I don't know. He maybe has thrown
7 or 8 innings he's thrown so far.
Yeah. So you could have had a couple, monstrous home runs, then a couple doing what the cutter's supposed to do, right? It'd get you like a 40-mile-an-hour weak grounder.
Which he definitely has. Like there's been outings where he's like I think the first save situation that he had, I remember being like, "Woo, look at that cutter." But, it's like somebody in the comments said relievers have a lot of opportunities to be shitty. It's going to happen.
No. Did anybody ever say what the deal with Will Vest was? because he hasn't pitched since Monday, and I was like, I thought for sure he was going to close today because Finnegan threw the 29 pitches yesterday, so he's got to be banged up or sick or something. But I don't know if I ever heard anybody say anything.
Yeah, he never even warmed up in this series, did he?
No.
So
no, it's good. That's a good call, Chris. No, I haven't seen anything, and I don't see beat reporters talking about it either. So, I'll have to ask around. But
Hinch made a comment post game. I think he said, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he alluded to there were like issues in the bullpen. I forgot what his exact comment was. It was like something like we have things going on or something like that, which like I felt like was him alluding to there might be some injuries we don't know about. Maybe I'm just pulling things out of the air, but that was how I interpreted what he said.
Yeah, and that's classic Hinch for. He's not going to give you. I mean, he'll give you a direct answer when he's ready to.
Yeah.
Well, and even when you think about today, I mean, I realize Drew Anderson is capable of multiple innings, but that would have been a classic setup for if Finnegan had the ninth, Vest was going to take the eighth, right? I mean, that would have probably made more sense when you look at what they've done the last couple of years. So, yeah, I think it's not crazy speculation you guys are making that something's up with him. He looked really good his last time out, right? Up in Cincinnati. He came in pitched the eighth inning.
The velo was kind of back up. Saw a little uptick.
Yeah, it's up to 97 there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting series. They take on the Rangers starting tomorrow for a 3-game set. So a little bit of home action for the first time in a while, and I'm glad because this is a homestand where they have the opportunity to kick off the month of May. Right, it's going to be May. They got Boston coming in on. I was just waiting for the Justin Timberlake joke to come in.
Yeah, I was going to say that popped in my head.
Yeah, it's gonna be May. There we go. All right, we got our system. And they play Boston after this, a team that's still. I mean, Boston has looked good since the Cora firing.
Oh, I mean, boy, that's been fun to read about. I don't know if you read the Athletic article about all the stuff going on behind the scenes there. Like, oh yeah, all right, drama. I like it.
Yeah,
dead last in homers.
Yeah, I like. You know what? This is fair. This is fair right here. I completely agree. Our one, yeah. The data's really weird though. I'm doing an article on it right now. The data's really weird on him. I don't know, but that's just all data. So, here's what Nick said here. Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on, but yeah, for now, Finnegan will ride the hot hand, and we'll see what they do with Jansen from there. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching the Motor City Metrics podcast, or for listening at home. We appreciate it. Give us a 5-star review if you can. That'd be really appreciated. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. And please stay classy, everybody. Shout out to Mr. Grandfather Klaus, who says hello and just want to say hi. And so, yeah, anybody else with final comments before we get out of here? We're good?
We're good.
We're good.
Should be good.
All right, folks. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.